Let's rock and roll. Right, will I share the right screen? I managed to get this wrong about 50% of the time. I reckon I'm sharing PowerPoint in presentation view.
You are indeed.
Cool. Okay. Welcome everyone once again. Really appreciate everyone taking the time, particularly those in Australia, hey, because I appreciate your giving up at least your early evening. Usual sort of agenda. I'm going to say a few words. It's going to be a lot of me talking. Apologies for that. And we've got a few holidays our side, which we didn't plan for. So I'm going to try and cover off a few people our side. So bear with me as I chat, as I do. But yeah, say a few words, talk about shaping your contribution to the product roadmap, talk a bit about where we're spending the investment you place in us. I'm going to talk about Finance version 3, do a demo of some of the new fees stuff, talk a little bit about accelerators. We're then going to have a break, get a cup of tea, glass of wine if you're for Australia, not a glass of wine if you're in the UK. Then do a quick survey, and really that's going to be focused, I think, but I'm not entirely sure, maybe on where you would like us to invest in terms of getting the solution accelerators, and I'll talk about that as well. And then we're really happy to have Jacqueline join us from Maurice Blackburn to talk about their experience of implementing ShareDo, and I'm really hoping share some insights on business change, which is always, I guess, the tech is one thing, change is at least in my eyes, is the hard piece, right? So really appreciate input from clients more broadly on these things, and sharing their experience, both positive and negative, that we can all hopefully learn from. Hey, that's all cool. I'm gonna shut up, hand over to Teresa. As part of your subscription, we provide a customer success team and a customer success service offering, and Teresa's going to walk us through the things you can ask us to do, and that's all part of your subscription. Hey, we'll have another break and another survey, really about how you want these forums to run, because they are for you guys. If you want different type of content, more frequency, less frequency, Ben to shut the proverbial up, then that feedback is always beautiful, right? And then finally, we're going to do cover up the data and AI roadmap, and do a demo of some of the new sort of real-time reporting stuff that's hopefully going to come out pretty soon. And then we'll wrap up, hopefully all within 2 hours. We're not doing, for those who've been on lots of these before, right, we're not doing a form builder demo this time, which basically means we won't overrun by at least 45 minutes as Tony goes into the depths of all the wonderful stuff you can do in form builder version 2. Cool. That's that. I guess, as always, I'd just like, if I can press a button, and it's not trite, hey, to say thank you to everyone. We massively appreciate the investment and trust you place in us. We think of ourselves as an R&D focused company. What does that mean? We are profitable. We've got we're about 5% net margin, but basically we plow back all of the investment you put in us into the products and service we provide, pretty much, right? So yeah, we really appreciate that investment, and I've covered this off on most of these meetings. So I'd like to just say where we've been spending that in the last 6 months, right? And broadly, there's 4 key investment areas. Customer success, so how you take advantage of the platform, right, and how we make you more successful. And certainly what we've been talking about internally is shipping solutions, not software. Rather than being software as a service, it's solution as a service. And hence, it's not just about software, it's about the service and the support we give to you guys around. And I guess there's 2 key areas in there. We've started to bring within our team, we're not entirely sure what to call them, but Carlos is the founding member of what we're nominally titling legal account strategists. Carlos has got a background, as a lawyer, as someone who's run a legal service provider. And the idea is that as well as software, as long as configuration, some of the service we can provide is going to be strategic as well. And again, that is part of solution as a service. Don't know, Carlos, you've got a camera on, but maybe just say hi, because I guess you'll be meeting a lot of the clients over the coming months, years, etc. Yeah.
Thanks for the introduction. Yes, I'm Carlos, and I'm looking forward to meeting many of you soon. Yes, and I plan to work with a lot of you in the future to think and strategize technology implementation within legal and business processes, which are two areas in which I have some experience on. So yes, thank you for the opportunity, and let's meet soon.
Cool. Thanks, Carlos. Next area of investment is we're always scaling our professional services team, but actually what we're spending a lot of time is investing in partners. So we're never going to be one of those companies that has 1 million partner logos. Every partner, we invest a huge amount of time and effort to make sure that their professional services are top notch. It takes time to do that, as anyone who's gone through the learning cycle with ShareDo. But I think we're starting to pay really good dividends. So Mosma, Moray brought on IDS and Maluma really around the data side of things. So expanding that ecosystem to make sure that if you guys need burst capacity, you take on a new initiative, you're not just beholden on us. So a lot of investment going into that side of things. Product, hey, we're an R&D company, right? So loads of stuff in there, and what we've done, we've brought on a new, hasn't quite joined yet, a new product manager in charge of finance, a lot of stuff going on in finance, and brought someone in with a lot of domain experience in the PMS world. Product team is always growing, UX and simplification team is always growing. We've spoken a lot about this over the time, so I won't go into that. And I guess the other key investment area, as always, is in security. Again, we really appreciate the trust you place in us, and we take that deeply seriously with the data that we hold. Hey, so yeah, that's the sort of update in terms of last 6 months. As a business, we continue to grow pretty fast. It's manageable. I think we've grown about maybe about 55%, something like that this year. And as I say, of that 55%, 50% gets ploughed back into solution as a service. I've probably been too verbose already and used up more time than I wanted to, but right, we'll carry on. Just want to talk about shaping the future roadmap. It is our roadmap. We've got some ideas, you've got some ideas. Together, hopefully we'll have great ideas, right? As always, you can make enhancement requests. You can do that via your customer success managers, if you've got our professional services team, you can do that via partners, right? We welcome your input into that design process. So as part of you've requested a feature, we will be issuing design documents. You're working on that. You're welcome to work on beta testing. And I'll talk a little bit about major release consultation because we're coming up to that in a second. So broadly, the platform is ours. You're welcome to request changes to that. There is sometimes there even though I think our velocity is quite good, it's just over a feature a day now, and is going upwards. Nevertheless, it's a big platform, so we do prioritize, so some things take a while to come through, but they don't get lost. Hey, what I'm really keen about in product is, and you see it a lot of product companies, it's sort of a black hole. The product team is faceless, right? You make a request, it freaking gets lost. You never hear what's going to happen, and it becomes a faceless organization. And I'm really keen, we're an enterprise focused firm, that for as long as possible, and I think we can, even scaling at the rate we are, we can avoid being faceless and putting barriers between product and customers. For certainly a few years to come, right? So yeah, you can work with your with our product managers to develop the product if you want to. And I've put some email addresses on the right hand side. They didn't know I'm going to do this, but they are going to. You're welcome to contact them, right? So if you go. We spent a lot of time talking about workflows and integrations in the last user group. You met Ash, right? If you want to go, Ash, you've got this brilliant idea. I should have turned off my phone. Ash, you've got this brilliant idea. Yeah, or you're welcome to work with us directly. And that goes both ways. So Ash is doing a load of stuff around address verification across the globe. He would love to collaborate with you guys. Yeah. The one piece we're doing at the moment, over and above the sort of enhancements, request process and feature design bit that goes on, is sort of major roadmap consultation. We're sort of rolling over to release 8, so at some point soon. And hence what we're doing is building roadmaps that go in advance. We last did that 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago. So lots of new people since in the last 2 years. But if you want to get involved in that, so you want to get involved in core platform or in UX and apps or workflows and integrations or accelerators, or it should say finance and time, then feel free to email those people and they can loop you into that consultation process. And broadly, that's just a big Word document. So I know a few people have got involved with some of the roadmap planning for time. A few more people got involved in the roadmap planning for finance. And I guess what we're looking for from you in terms of your investment is reading documents, understanding what's there, going, actually, this thing's more important than that thing, or maybe there's this stuff we've missed completely, right? Collectively, more brains are better than few, I think, in that area. One more thing to say on this, in terms of product managers, we've got, as I said, we've got Fran who's joining us shortly in finance, and then there'll be, I'm not quite sure we're going to call them in the same way, we're not quite sure we're going to call Carlos yet, but nominally a sort of chief data scientist who's going to join in data and AI possibly soon. So yeah, that's a major roadmap consultation. Anything? Anyone got any questions at this point? As always, you can put them in the chat, or you're welcome if you're brave enough to just shout them out. It's either is fine. Cool. As I say, you've got a lot of me chatting today. All good. Right. In that case, I'll move on to the next bit of the agenda, which is around finance and time. And I'll try and present that to the right screen. Am I still presenting? Not quite. Okay, let me share my screen again. I've managed to share the. Have I shared the right one or the wrong one?
You need to flick your presenter mode.
I'm always doing that. Right, I'm going to share the right one. Happy days, cool. As I say, Fran's taking over this for the next user group, but I just wanted to walk you through what we're doing in finance roadmap. If we cast our mind back, 3 months ago, the last user forum, we focused on sort of core platform workflow and integrations, didn't really spend any time on finance, data and AI, so hence the flip this time. So yeah, first off, just going to talk about is finance and time in this thing is around the time roadmap consultation. It's quite a big feature enhancement to time recording. We've started on it already. I don't know if any of that will make 7.8. And we're on 7.7, just about to launch 7.72, I think, which has got quite a few defect CST type patches in it. It's a big feature enhancement to time recording. There's about 50 plus features in there. And If you are a user of time, and there's some good things about our time recording today and some bad things about our time recording today. If you are a heavy user of time, please just email me. I'll send you a big Word document. It will maybe take you an hour or so to read. Certainly, I think I've sent that to 3 clients so far. I guess everyone I've sent it to, they've gone, oh, what about that? And so if you are a user, feel free to just email me and I'll send you the document and I'll work with that with you and your feedback on that. We're starting on some UX-y bits and pieces shortly, but some of the more meaty pieces will be happening, I guess, starting probably mid-October, something like that. So yeah, time, if you want to contribute to that, don't need to, but then feel free to email me and I will work with you on that consultation. Finance. This, I was almost tempted to do a sort of roadmap, where we've been since 2016 to 2024 in terms of finance. This is finance version 3. And really it's moving, I guess, enabling firms, if they want to redraw some of the lines between PMSs or ERPs and an operational system such as ShareDo. And it is a very big feature enhancement to finance, broadly broken into 3 conceptual buckets, right? I'm going to demo a lot of the bucket on the left-hand side. But I'll just talk about it very quickly. Fees, my God, fees are complicated in law firms. Every time I think we've got it right, then people talk to us about things like legal aid, which are just bananas, right? But nevertheless, I think we're getting there in terms of the new conceptual model for fees and a lot better UX. I think our conceptual model was right in version 7, but actually the UX was a little bit less than optimum. So I'll talk you through some of that stuff. Related to that is really, and a lot of these concepts in finance version 3 for me is about joining up. So in finance version 2, we had a case ledger, and you can integrate with your PMSs, or for our insurance clients, you're integrating with sort of standard finance systems, right? Actually, all of the heavy lifting was done in those systems. Finance version 3 is about moving a lot of that heavy lifting to ShareDo. So along with fees, a new configuration model, and new UX is joining up time to fees fundamentally. So you can now record internal cost rates, so you can start to do profitability analysis. When you record time, it will create hourly billing rates and all of that good stuff, right? And then I'm going to talk about pricing intelligence in data and AI, because I think that's the first ML model we're going to roll out in that area. So that's fees. Billing is then all about joining up fees and disbursements to produce client bills, invoices, whatever you might want to call them. And that involves quite a lot of other bits and pieces in this bucket. So I'm not going to go through this verbatim, but a lot better tax handling and a configurable completion statements mechanism, which I conceptually think about as a pseudo bill in many ways. So yeah, that's billing. That will definitely be taking us till early next year. And then on the back end is providing the ability, if you want to, and again, ShareDo is an enterprise application. You can, as I think most of us are aware, you can turn off features. You can go, I don't want to work in this way, right? So all of this stuff, if you don't want to use it, just don't use it, right? But nevertheless, for some firms, if you want to move client and office accounting into ShareDo, you will be able to do that next year. Cool. I'll pause for breath again. Any questions at this point? No. Okay. Right. I'll do a quick demo. says confidently. Let me whiz through. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a couple of bits and pieces. So I call it cost to serve, but broadly, it's the idea of rate cards, both for internal cost rates and for billing. Yeah. Now, a lot of these features have been in ShareDo for a little while. So I'm going to whiz across to admin and just refresh you with this. So I've got underneath my finance menu, and we do get a dedicated finance portal.
Sorry, Ben, could you zoom in a little bit, please? Just one or two. Thank you for small monitors.
It's usually me with my poor eyes that's do that, so thank you. We've had the concept of rate cards, internal costs, etc. All of that finance menu gets into a lot bigger portal in about a version. But yeah, you can define, we call them goods and services. You can define your internal costings, and that's completely multi-currency driven. It can be by role and even down to individual people, and there is an API to support import of these. The new data table upload supports import of these, because these matrix of internal costings are quite complex, and plainly they can be time bound as well. So whatever Bob, who's an associate, was this unit price per hour from this to this, and at this date he got promoted and all that sort of stuff, right? So that's sort of like the grunt, the big sort of data piece that goes with it. There's a new feature, and as always with ShareDo, if you don't want to use this stuff, you just turn it off, right? It won't get used. There's a new feature which gives you base internal cost rates, gives you the ability to specify within your case ledger where you want to put that cost of goods sold, and also control about the financial posting. And for those who've got into ShareDo Finance, you'll be familiar with this. The ledger transaction has a status associated with it, which is related to time, right? So that all sounds very easy to set up, but actually the heavy lifting and the hard piece of work is all about getting the internal costs in. What does that mean? And due to the joys of my school run, I haven't had a lot of prep, so I'm going to have to pray to the demo gods today. What does that mean? Let's go into client billable. It means when I'm recording time, I'll come back to this drop down in a second, right? When I'm recording time, I'll do this as demo. And I hit a particular phase in my life cycle, it will record financial transactions. Yeah, so that's what I configured in terms of my account code, and I'm now going, and this gets hidden as permissions, so most people won't see this stuff at the bottom and all that sort of stuff, but basically it's recorded a financial transaction. Yeah, all good. So the next piece I'd like to cover is the joining up of time with fees. So you notice when I did this time recording, let's add another. You notice when I did this time recording, it basically asked for whatever coding I've defined, but it said what fee is that related to, right? And you might have noticed it recorded against hourly fee. I recorded against hourly fees, but it's also I can record against fixed fees. Yeah. And I'll submit that, and I've created some more stuff. Yeah. So within the new fees meta model, and I'll just click into my fee estimate. We've always been able to support multiple quotes conceptually, or multiple estimates. So this one is quite complex. It's got 3 quotes: a conditional fee quote, a fixed fee menu base, we call them, and an hourly rate quote. And plainly those aren't named very well. I might have gone, I know, in scope quote, out of scope quote, phase 2 quote, etc. Right? But now when I'm recording time, and I'll talk about the meta model in a second, I can go, actually, I want to be able to put time against individual elements of that. So what does that mean? It means that together with internal costs, and actually some of the new reporting stuff, right? It means you can do really good profitability of fixed price elements if you are fixed priced focused. If you're hourly, what does it mean? Well, it means we're starting to bridge some of that gap in terms of creating hourly fees and all that good stuff. Yeah. What is also worth mentioning here is that you're starting to get new UXs. So this is the new UX for actual fees. It highlights the total fees. It highlights in the fullness time, not quite today, what's been billed when we do the billing wizard, what's WIP, what's been written off, and enables you to switch between multiple quotes. So quite often people only have a single quote on a matter, and that's fine. This stuff all disappears, right? But if you're maybe doing some family law, or some long-running complex commercial law where you're doing multiple quotes to your client, then you'll be able to see those and filter them and close those quotes off as you go through that process. Yep. Okay. I'm going to come back to what the new actual fees UI looks like in a second. But what I wanted to do was talk you through the meta model or the designer for these fees, Ben's best hourly fees. So for those who've used fees, my God, is it hard work? I mean, they're really hard things to understand in terms of law firms. If you try to, and the worst example I keep coming back is legal aid, right? But they're actually quite hard to configure from a ShareDo perspective, and the combination of really hard things to understand and really hard things to configure makes this stuff hard to use, right? So there's a new fees designer, and you can go, I'm developing the template for the fees that I'm then going to use on statements of work, matters, etc. Hopefully those concepts are reasonably familiar to people. So what have I got here? I've got a fixed fee, but maybe I want to add some hourly rate stuff, and I want to, I might need to put a rate card against my hourly rates, and I want to add all of the hourly rates in there for associates, paralegals, partners, project managers, solicitors, etc. So I'm starting to design my fee template, which ultimately will get used for quoting and will get used for actuals. So lots of settings, not going to go through that. It's still, conceptually you need quite a lot of understanding, I think, about our fees model and indeed about fees in general to be able to configure this stuff, right? But the idea here is it's reducing the cognitive loads, so I can then go and say, actually, let's put some fixed fees on. That'll make more sense. Let's go back to my designer, fixed fee menu based, I'll slap in there. Rate cards, fixed fee, price services, that would do. Add in a load of those. What should we do? Some debt stuff. These are all looking at price lists, which has been in the app for a while, but become a lot more important concept. Right, let's go back to my preview. Okay, so what this is enabling you to do is design your fee template and also then play around with what it's actually going to look like from the front end. Hopefully that's reasonably clear. Cool. Finish off fees with the stuff that's in build that I'm not going to demo because I'm certainly not that brave. And just maybe show you a screenshot. As actuals. Yeah, cool. Okay. So the bit we're working on at the moment, which sort of rounds off this bundle of fees enhancements, a couple of other bits and pieces actually, but is a new UX for fee estimates. What that does is make it a lot easier to manage multiple quotes and the life cycle associated with that. So very similar to budgets in terms of its phase model. It becomes a lot easier to manage fee approvals, and it starts and generally makes the UX a lot easier, and starts to introduce a machine learning model into the pricing of these fees. And I'll talk about that in the data and AI roadmap. Okay, I think that is it from Finance V3. Any questions?
No, nothing's come through the chat.
Cool. Finance is super complicated. I've been working with 2 clients on this. Anyone else who wants to take this stuff, we're getting close to beta testing. If you want to get involved with it quite early, I would love that, right? As I say, I'll go back to its fees that's coming out at the moment. Just email me. Fran will be taking over from me shortly once she's up to speed. But yeah, love people to contribute to the fees stuff. I think it's really strong and has an opportunity to add a lot of value. Okay, cool.
And you just got a question on integration on fees. Sorry, in terms of can it write the hours recorded to Intap?
Yeah. Hi, Simon. Yeah. So with all of these things, it's ubiquitous across the whole platform. When something happens, so time is recorded, time is submitted, etc., we raise an event. So you can subscribe to those. I'll show you a bit of that. That might be not a bad idea. Just conceptually, because right, okay. Let me go to demo 1. Leave that. I'll go up a resolution for Sebastian. There is actually a huge amount of power in our workflow engine, which I think is perhaps too hidden away sometimes. I'll go into a random workflow. It doesn't really matter what it is, right? But yeah, the idea of triggering, right? So our platform, talk tech for a second, is built on essentially an eventing engine, right? Now, you can trigger all manner of things of different events, yeah? So these are the ones that, if you like, the commonly used ones. So time is created, insert it into a third-party system was all of these sort of events, yeah? But there are actually a huge number of different events you can do quite intricate processing, yeah? So broadly, something happens in ShareDo, record time, you create a workflow, post into IMTAP, post into Adderant Elite, etc. Right. Cool, okay. In that case, I will stop sharing again. And just move on to the next piece, accelerators, and then I get a break, okay? And you get a break too.
Sorry, I've had a question come straight through to me on Slack, Ben. So Simon's asking if the fee hours records can be integrated with Intap. That's what I
just covered, yeah.
Oh, sorry, behind the times, it's just come through on Slack.
No, that's cool. It's on the meeting chat. Yeah. All of this data, that's worth saying. So whenever we're designing a feature as well, all of the data you see will be available in Data Composer. There'll be events to trigger, workflows, etc. Yeah. Let's talk about accelerators, and then we will go to a poll. Let me present that. And then we'll share that. Cool. We treat accelerators as product, and certainly what I want to see from our investment profile is more investment into this area, although actually finding people who can do them is quite hard. Hey, so just want to cover off almost like a refresher for accelerators and where we're at and what we're focusing on. So for me, the why of accelerators is one of the positives, but one of the deep negatives of a very open platform where you can configure almost anything, right? And we're really big on the configurability, is actually you have too much choice. And with too much choice, you can make bad decisions, right? And if I look at the evolution of some of our accelerators, right, we've sort of got better at it, right? And we've been doing this for 7 years, right? So we made different design decisions as we've moved forward, and we sort of coalesced around what we consider to be best practice, right? So whilst you could take ShareDo and do all manner of things, right? And I love the fact that the platform's super open. A lot of law firms do roughly the same stuff and have their bits of uniqueness, yeah. And the same with insurance companies, right? They do in terms of the claims handling. They've got, they follow a similar pattern and their little bits of uniqueness, right? So what accelerators are there is to talk about best practice, and that does evolve over time in the same way that some of the protocols we follow in terms of legal process change over time. So the idea of accelerators is to enable you to build on firm foundations. They are accelerators. They're not going to solve it. I haven't seen anyone work in the same way, right? And we tend to target the accelerators if we were to have a continuum from no process to straight through processing. We sort of tend to sort of target them somewhere in the middle. So picking on, I don't know, claimant workflow. Some firms want to be highly automated. Some firms want to be highly artisanal, right? So no one accelerator can cover everyone. They're there to accelerate. But equally, even when I think across that continuum, there's a lot of commonality, even in the processes. So yeah, firm who wants to do straight through processing will take a similar process and add more automation to it. So it's there about firm, sort of foundations in terms of the design principles that these have come up with, and it's about leveraging common functionality. What, in terms of delivering solutions rather than software, what we aim to do alongside you guys, right, is reducing implementation risk, producing faster timescales, and actually focusing on solution, not software, right? But nevertheless, it doesn't, with a configurable platform, it doesn't necessarily make this stuff super easy, right? And I guess that's a trade-off between enterprise configuration and lack of configuration. So just as a refresher, there are a bundle of these. For us, we work on producing process maps, design templates, other analysis artifacts to facilitate the workshops. These are available to you. Some are beautiful things that have tried and tested. Some of them are less good, but nevertheless, if you go look, and I know Lawfront, picking on an example that came through the other day, said, look, can you send us the family stuff the other day? I think it was family. They are available to you to accelerate your work. And then there are pre-configured solutions. You may take some of it. You may take all of it. You may take none of it. You may just copy bits. You may import and export it. It's still a resource there to help you through that journey. In terms of coverage and I guess investment, Nick's on holiday. I think I put her email right at the start. Feel free to email Nick. But there's a reasonable coverage, and hence some of these are better and some are worse than others. The current sort of investment stuff is doing more stuff on B2C, bit of stuff on employment. We're refreshing all the real estate stuff, particularly with some of the completion statement, and there's some work being done to InfoTrack at the moment. a bit more on sort of global, legally, admin-y type services, and I guess the usual sort of preceding stuff, which is always being updated. These get through refresh naturally, but I guess my sort of ask, and we're going to come on to a survey in a second, is really, I guess, twofold. Having your input into what you need is super useful. We don't mind. Feel free to say, actually, could you help me design one of these, and we'll work together. We might not build it, but we can still make sure you're working on firm foundations. So if you're doing a new type of work, picking on one that came through the other day that we haven't done a lot of work on was immigration. I forget if that was Australia or another jurisdiction, probably was Australia. We would love to work on these with you. And mainly that's to make sure you're getting good foundations, right? So do not be afraid to say you haven't got an accelerator, but and it is time permitting plainly, but could you at least help us get the foundations right? Maybe we don't build it, maybe we just get that sort of design piece done for you. That is a service we would like to offer to you. You're welcome to take us up on it. Cool. We're moving towards...
Ben, there's a question in the chat.
Brilliant. Peter.
Can be accelerators implemented easily to already done configuration, work type defined?
No, it's an absolute nightmare, Peter. Yeah, I mean, I think, that's just the way it is, right? Because accelerators contain so much. They contain work types, workflows, all of that sort of thing, yeah? The magical, and import export always gets better, right? But the magical take your existing config and merge it with an accelerator just won't exist. I'm just being really honest, right? But equally, if I look at, and I've done loads of work on the accelerators over the years, right? If I'm honest, the build is such a small part of it. Like for those who like if you're given any, I don't know if someone like Simon's on the call, right? But like once you've got an accelerator design in place, the build is super fast. So I would almost, in the case that you've got, I don't know what work type, like recoveries, right? So you maybe done some stuff in recoveries and now you want to add to it. I would just look at the assets you've got in demo one or legal in some of our dev environments. Look at the high level design. You might choose to import, export, or just re-implement, because the implementation bit is the easy bit, in my opinion.
You can also take fragments though as well, Ben, can't you? So yeah. say for instance, there's a whole bunch of data capture and you've not implemented that on your work type. You can take the forms and then you can just ribbon them up. If you want certain elements of that configuration, you can take it and then ribbon it into your existing thing, rather than taking the whole definition again, which will overlay on top of the work that you've already done.
Yeah, although actually this is a good point actually. What we're getting better at, but we don't think it's a solved problem, is so if you go, I want a package for whatever accelerator, right? Is we're now breaking that up into multiple packages. So there'll be a package for the work type, a package for the workflows, so you can take it a bit more piecemeal. But nevertheless, I think it's still very hard to do this uber merge of this, of what is conceptually a very big business process, right? Sorry. Oh, another one from David. Going on through is a way to evaluate against this. That would be super good. Yeah. I don't think we met David, I don't know. But yeah, that's a really good idea. Really good idea. Yes, I get what you're both asking. That would be, yes, it's like taking import, export, and maybe it's compare it against a different environment. Cool. Yeah, I get what you're both asking. Let me give that some thought. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, cool. Okay, yeah, let me have a think about that, and I'll play that back at maybe the next one, maybe the one afterwards. Yeah.
So just in case anybody on the call doesn't know, in the chat window is where people are typing questions. So when Ben's saying that's a good idea, if you just look in the chat, you can see the questions people are asking.
Yeah, all good. Right, I'm going to get a cup of tea. We have a survey to talk about where you would like to invest in accelerators. Let's grab maybe 5 minutes, 4 minutes, something like that. Have a look at the survey, grab a cup of tea, and then we will reconvene at 9:51 precisely. Cool. See you all in a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Thanks.
How are we doing? We're all good. Right. Hopefully everyone's got a cup of tea. Mine's just brewing, but I'm handing it over to Teresa, so we're all good. If I was to sort of summarize, claims, mass torts, class actions, very similar, all that sort of stuff. I mean, really good feedback, hey. We are going to formalize this in terms of a consultation paper around where you want us to invest. I know Phil has done quite a lot of work on mass claims. We often call it remediation from a defendant perspective, but it sounds like there's a lot more demand there. Real estate, we're having a good bash at the moment, and then it's interesting to see more corporate group proceedings. But yeah, it sounds like a lot of stuff around sort of mass claims, mass tort, etc. Yes, thank you for that feedback. I'm going to hand over to Teresa, go and get my brew, and to Teresa and Jacqueline. Yeah.
Yep. So I think we do have Jacqueline. Jacqueline, are you there? Please tell me you've not run away.
I am here. Hello.
Fabulous. So I'll let you do your introduction. But again, thank you very much from all of us for doing this. So over to you. Hopefully you should be able to present. We can see you on screen, so that's a good sign.
That is a good sign. Let me just share my screen.
Look at that, Ben. Did you see that? That was seamless, that. You're a winner already.
Thank you. And thanks so much for having me. I'm really delighted to share some of our transformation journey with you all today. I am going to share as generously as I can. However, I did just want to mention at the start that we are under confidentiality agreements within our project team in terms of our IP. So I sometimes might be a little bit limited in terms of what I can share today, but always very happy to have some smaller one-on-one conversations to dive a bit deeper into the detail with anybody that's interested. We did do that recently with another ShareDo client. I'm not sure if I can see him on the call, but it was a really great conversation. So I'm hoping that we can do more of that. Just some really quick context in terms of Maurice Blackburn. So Maurice Blackburn is a leading plaintiff law firm in Australia. We were founded more than 100 years ago, so in 1919 by Maurice Blackburn himself. We've got over 1,000 employees across more than 30 offices around the country, and we've got around 15 sort of main practice areas. So that includes personal injuries, medical negligence, superannuation, social justice, employment and industrial law, and class actions. Our focus is really on expanding access to justice to everyday Australians who have experienced unfair treatment. So over the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to take you on a little bit of a flyover of our transformation program and some of the change implications like Ben mentioned before. I just want to share this quick quote to kick off. In a nutshell, it captures our approach to our transformation journey. So I will credit Richard Susskind. We were inspired by his quote in the book, Future of Professions, Your Doctor Will See You Now. So while our clients do come to us for our legal expertise, they also want to get back to their lives as soon as possible. So anything we can do to improve that velocity and our client experience and get those results for them quicker, that really is our driving force. What we're hoping is that over the next 3 horizons, we will see an evolution of our operating model. Will be underpinned by new capabilities, new processes, new roles, new data, and new technology, which of course is where ShareDo comes into play. Phil has given me a slight complex about how I say data, so I'm going to be very conscious of that throughout this presentation. But Horizon 1 is where we are now. So this includes launching ShareDo as our new matter management system to our first practice groups. The investment in our underlying matter management system was a key foundation basically to enable growth across our future horizons, so horizons 2 and 3. I will come back to this horizon as it's where we are today. Horizon 2 is around optimizing and scaling. So as our teams are onboarded and adapting to our new processes and the new platform itself, just looking for further opportunities to automate or centralize, as well as the development of new skills and capabilities across our legal operation roles. It's been really exciting, I think, to see as part of this program is new career pathways within our firm. So for people like myself who have come across from the legal division into the project team space, and we've got a number of lawyers and legal assistants who are also now part of our project team. Horizon 3 is around growth and innovation. So further journeys and further practice teams that will be launched, looking at increased automation and adoption of AI, which I think everyone's sort of exploring and playing with a little bit. By then, we really hope that our data decision making is driven by, those data insights and utilising that to inform where to next, such as, flexibility of our geographic footprint and those kind of things. So I think one of the things we really love about ShareDo to date is just their appetite, to continuously innovate and enhance their product and collaborate with us in terms of our use case scenarios and really understanding our business and where we can be supported. So going back just in terms of Horizon 1, our design and our build phase, in addition to the main change in this horizon, which is obviously the implementation of our new platform across the business, there's also been quite a bit of change just in terms of how we deliver projects ourselves. So uplifting agile ways of working, we've implemented cross-functional teams, and then within those teams themselves, those team members gaining new capabilities such as BPMN. So a big shout out to Phil as well for his support in that space. Sharing his knowledge with our team members. Our technology selection process has also been part of Horizon 1. So when we started looking at providers, we found a lot focused on B2B, and those that were in the B2C space were suited to smaller practices. So we landed on ShareDo. We found that they offered us the fastest path to value. Definitely a no regrets decision so far. We've found that ShareDo, is definitely flexible enough to grow and change with us. During this phase, we also did a lot of work on understanding, the pain points and the opportunities across both our client and employee experience. We had a big focus on simplifying and standardizing a lot of our processes. So we started with our journey architecture. So that's basically going to serve as the foundation for our ongoing transformation efforts. So I think Ben touched on a little bit before as well, but definitely when we take our processes, it really is quite modular and there's a lot of common patterns and reusable elements across our practice areas and across our jurisdictions that will help accelerate the development of our, next case types and next practice groups. So the way that ShareDo is designed is really supporting us with that as well. We did find one of the things was maybe the balance between doing so much of this work upfront in Horizon 1 agnostic of the platform. So we had a lot of artifacts, I think, when we started our engagement with ShareDo. And so I think a learning for us is just being conscious that we chose a platform that came with so many great features out of the box, and just needing to ensure that we worked with what ShareDo had instead of going down a path of too much customization. So often we did find that we were going, you know, if we did try to change something, perhaps we ended up back where we started. So we implemented a rule of the 3 bites, so 3 chances at iterating, and then we would kind of move on. Not sure we stuck to that 100% of the time, but Phil's been very patient with us in that regard. So why we chose to start with a new matter management system, it was a no-brainer for us. We had the burning platform, and unequivocally the finding was that a new matter management system was going to be a no regrets foundation, you know, to unlock all those improvements that I was mentioning before. In terms of choosing how we started and who we started with was a little bit of a contentious decision. Every practice area wanted to go first. Not sure that I won too many friends during that process, but we used a weighted scorecard when we looked at our journey sequencing. So we looked at things such as case volume, case complexity, case value, and the readiness of that particular practice team to go through the change. Our main aim during that process was really to identify the journey that offers the best starting point for quick success. So we are starting with one of our large volume practice areas, and so that will allow us to gain those insights and learnings that can then be leveraged across our more complex practice teams and journeys in the future. I think the ShareDo's no-code sort of drag and drop workflows and widgets, that has really made our teams be able to pick up and get that understanding of the platform so much faster. So Phil in particular has dedicated a lot of time to upskilling our config team, and so that's really appreciated. We're trying to be as self-sufficient as we can. I think that we're getting there, but we're still learning a lot. Throughout our design and build process, we've had a number of design principles that have guided us. Some of those I've already mentioned around being, you know, customer experience led, and then that of course is underpinned by having a great employee experience. So we do want our teams to be really empowered with the best tools instead of working off system or having workarounds as they do today. 2 design principles that I just really wanted to focus a little bit more on, one in particular being business-led and not tech-led. So our principle was that it must be led by the business requirements, addressing the pain points and the opportunities. We talk about by the lawyers, for the lawyers. So we have had a group of legal subject matter experts who've been involved right from day one. So when we were sticking post-it notes up on the wall, right through all of our regular showcases and business validation sessions and testing. We're quite big on the vibe check, as you can see in these photos. So holding up a score out of 5. I don't think I've ever come across anything lower than a 4 on our road shows. And I promise we're not just getting our teams to wave at the camera, but I think, yeah, the feedback that we've had from our teams so far has just been amazing. One of the quotes, some of the wording is a bit choice wording, so not suitable for a broader audience, but one of the quotes from one of our users I thought I would share when we were testing in February around Valentine's Day. She told her husband to keep the flowers and that she wanted ShareDo for her Valentine's Day present. So that was pretty great validation in terms of what the team's achieved to date. And one of our other core design principles was data as a first-class citizen. So it being woven into every design decision that we make. We had a zero-based sort of design approach, thinking about the insights that we wanted at every level. So not just supervision and management level, but our lawyers and legal assistants, and ensuring that those insights, give them actionable information as well. We did spend quite a bit of time on our data dictionary. So that artifact has been a really valuable source of truth across our different pods. So right across our process and config pod, our data migration pod, reporting and insight pods, so on and so forth. That new data model is really going to underpin all of our workflows. Each portal page, that we have designed and created really looks at maximizing the collection of structured data, so that we can use that, in the future for some analytics or predictive models, all of those kind of things, just setting us up really well in that regard. But on the flip side, we want to make sure that when we are capturing that data, that it is not so rigid in terms of our teams just feeling like they have to fill out, lots of mandatory fields, that it will just happen naturally as the case progresses. So I think, ShareDo's functionality around phase guards and those kind of things has, really helped us in terms of that process. And then I think as well, just demonstrating to our teams that once we have that data, all of the things that are possible to do with it. So we had a lunch and learn today actually around documents, which doesn't sound like the most exciting topic, but our team seeing the data that could be pulled through into those templates and the speed at which those documents were generated. Just the simple things, I think, but they were all really, really excited about that. Lastly, I just wanted to touch a bit more on change implications and challenges. So this slide's actually from someone much more creative than me, just generally about change, but there were just a few areas that I wanted to highlight in particular. One of those being adoption. So I've already touched on our co-design approach. And we're really hoping that this will mean that our teams, particularly our lawyers, who are the ones who today do work quite a bit off system, will want to use the system. We've definitely identified some change champions in those that have been involved in some of our business validation sessions, who are really, really happy to kind of be champions and early adopters of the system. Along the way, we have found that, ShareDo has so many features and so much functionality. Again, I think Ben touched on this too, just in terms of like so much choice, and hopefully us making the right decisions early on. I think our teams have had very high expectations, that ShareDo is going to solve all the problems and all the things, but we have a little bit of a running kind of sense check just in terms of like, are we asking ShareDo to make your coffee for you as well? So trying to focus on ruthless prioritization, as well as just bringing our teams along in terms of having, to be familiar with concepts such as MVP. So that we are going to continually improve, that those improvements may be incremental, that it's not going to be perfect first time. And I think that is a bit of a mindset shift when, they might be coming from legacy systems where they're feeling like a bit stuck. So something gets rolled out and then it doesn't really change or it doesn't really improve. So that is going to be quite a journey for our teams to go on. And I think, we all know how easy it is to make those changes in ShareDo. So again, the challenge for us, I think, is just looking at how we might split our time across doing those continuous improvements for the teams that have already been onboarded, while concurrently working on the design and implementation for our other practice areas. So we have a really big change management focus at the moment. We are due to launch to our first pilot site very soon. So we're doing lots of user testing, weekly, lunch and learns, like I mentioned before, sneak peek videos, and the engagement so far has just been really, really pleasing to see. One of our other challenges, which I'm sure some of you have also experienced, but is the tension or the difficulty between operational efficiencies in a billable hour context. So time is our main commodity. We're still working through, I don't really have all the answers for that. We're still working through what that means for us from a revenue perspective in a fairly flat growth market in Australia. The other one that I was going to mention lastly really is just managing the transition state. So when part of the business is on ShareDo and part isn't, we know that's going to lead to a number of challenges. We're trying to make our teams, really aware of that and understand where those issues might be, but also just looking at ways that we can go faster and accelerate our program so that transition window is as short as possible. I hope this has given a small insight into our project. We really look forward to building ties with other firms in the ShareDo community. So like I said, please do feel free to reach out. Lastly, but definitely not least, I did just want to do a quick shout out to those who we've been partnering with most closely at ShareDo. So Phil, Sebastian, Jenny, Adrian, Graham, and James. Jenny, James, and Phil have all joined us on site here in Australia. They came to our Melbourne office. Phil has been over twice now, so he's definitely part of the MB family. And those visits have just been so invaluable, really, to help us accelerate both of our teams, learning as well as to progress our implementation. So, I just wanted to say a really big thank you. We're definitely excited for what the rest of our journey brings.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. That was brilliant. I mean, at some point, Jacqueline, you and I are going to have to half that money that Phil's clearly paid you for the amount of compliments you've given him. That was really good.
Just before we move on, Teresa, I mean, I think, thank you again from myself, right? I tell you what, I mean, the world of change management to me feels like this dark art, right? And for sort of change experts, I think it's super impressive. But yeah, even though it feels like a dark art to me, right? I recognize that actually without it, even the best solution in the world is going to fail. So I think it's, I don't know how, I mean, one of my big mantras from ShareDo, right, at the moment is we're shipping solutions, not software. And you guys are plainly change experts, but how do we, as a sort of broader community, and it will be led by us, and I'm happy to invest in it, almost help every firm that's on this call, do best practice change management. And I don't know the answer to that. If anyone's got any good answers, I'm, in terms of investing the subscription revenue you give us, I'm happy to invest that back into the community. But as I say, I don't know. It's like dark art to me. So if anyone's got any really good ideas, feel free to email me or Jen. Actually, I think would be a good leader for this. And I'd love to be able to push some of the sort of learnings from the community back into a sort of central, we can all be more successful pot, if that makes sense. But yeah, really, really appreciate it, Jacqueline. Yeah.
No worries. Sounds great. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So I think I'm up next, you lucky people. So after all the mockery that I've given Ben now, let's hope my slides share seamlessly. So where are we? Gonna go here.
It's the wrong window, Teresa. Sorry.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm teasing. Sorry.
Ben.
I'm deeply charged.
I thought the red line is shown in the right area. Right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk you through, hopefully, I'm going to spend about 10 minutes and I'm going to try and keep to my schedule because I'm the schedule police. So I'm going to talk you through a few of the things that we do as a customer success department and all the various services that are available to you, and you can contact us. I'm sure Ben's going to banter my email around at the end, and I think most people in this call, I think you've had some form of interaction with me. But just to say, I am always available. So if ever you've got any questions, then you can always come to me. Okay, all right. So the first thing we're going to touch on is your account team. So every account that we have has this team structure. And as you all know, and as Jacqueline just mentioned, you will, of course, come across lots of different people in our organisation as you move through your lifetime with us. So the first person that we're going to look at is the customer success manager. So I think we've got a few of the customer success team on the call, and I've prepared them to put their cameras on so they can give you a wave. But every account has a dedicated customer success manager, and the idea of that person is that they are your go-to person. So whether you're in project, whether you're in BAU, at times when you're even just in sales, they're the person that you can go to if you're unsure of where else to go in the company. They're also a kind of a proactive driving force for everybody. So, you know, the idea is we want you guys to be as trained as possible. You know, we want to make sure your support desk is giving you everything that you want it to give you. Project team, if you're getting whatever you need from the project team. And similarly, you know, if our project team are needing things from you, then, you know, we can come to you also. So the customer success manager is really supposed to be that kind of pinnacle point for you at our company. So hopefully everybody on the call knows who their customer success manager is, because I know that the team have been out there and introducing themselves. If you're not sure, please feel free to email me, and I will point you in the direction of who your dedicated customer success manager is. We have principal consultant. So a principal consultant you would have come across during your project phase initially. And for us, the principal consultant is the one that is the SME on your particular instance. So they'll be hugely knowledgeable about the core product, but they'll also know how you very specifically use it. So they're the type of people we'll always recall, and, you know, kind of testament and just a little shout out to ShareDo. Our staff turnover is exceptionally low, more than any in my 20 years in software. So actually those people are always still around. So when it comes time for upgrades, when you're wanting to do something very specific, quite often the customer success manager will re-enlist the help of those principal consultants. And then we have the executive sponsor. Now, your executive sponsor, as you would expect, is only going to dip in and out. They tend to stay in communicado with you, but generally they're the people that, you know, will kind of touch base with you annually, maybe every few months, just to check in and make sure you're okay. But similarly, and obviously this is the one we don't like, they are your ultimate point to go to. You know, if you feel that you're really not getting from us what you need, you always have that executive sponsor. Now, again, everybody should know who their executive sponsor is, but if you don't, please give me a shout, and we will. I'll let you know who that person is. Okay, so then we're going to move into services. So these are all of the services, and it really is only going to be a light touch on each of these services. But as Ben said at the start, this is everything that's available to you. So if you want more of this, and, you know, the hope is that your customer success manager is kind of pushing all these things in your direction, then please feel free to go to your customer success manager and say, you know, you really want to focus on bringing one of these services to the forefront. So we have, you have a dedicated service portal. So if we're just looking at the service desk initially, so there is a dedicated service portal. Now, I appreciate not everyone on the call is going to have access to that, because that's really your support desk. That's where you're raising tickets. It's where you're asking us questions about the application, requesting a release, you know, lots of various different things, but that would tend to go through your service desk or your product owners. And then you have a service delivery, the service delivery management aspect of that. And that really is where we're looking at giving you the data back. So we're going to be doing it via monthly meetings, or your customer success may be doing fortnightly meetings with you. But we're really looking at that service portal. We're looking at how we're performing against questions that you're asking, or, you know, if there are any particular tickets, let's say, support tickets that you want progressed faster, or you've got something that's actually becoming maybe not an urgent issue, but it's becoming a bit more of a niggle, so we really just need to kind of get that nailed down. In line with that is, of course, your SLA management. So looking at the SLAs and how we're performing against those. Now, sometimes that can be a bit of a two-way street. So we might want to improve on how we're performing against your SLAs. Similarly, we might want to look at how we're working in partnership to make sure tickets are getting raised in the right way with the right status, which means our team in turn are giving it the right amount of focus and really directing things in the right direction. So the SLA management, whilst it is a report, it's also a partnership where we make sure that you're getting the best service out of us, and also us encouraging you to give us the right amount of information and direction as to what you actually want. And then there's the ticket management and release. So the ticket management aspect, that's all about making sure that we are staying in communication with you. So, you're raising a ticket, and quite often those tickets may have to go into the core backlog because it's a technical fix that needs to be written into core, but it's making sure that we are responding on those tickets and where we are at various points. And again, your customer success manager is going to want to be hearing from you about any that you've got particular concerns on. You want to be going to your customer success manager to say, can you give a bit of an oomph behind this particular ticket or whatever it is that you need. Next up, we've got platform. So upgrade assistance. Now, we've put upgrade assistance there, but I think nearly everybody on this call would know that, we do try to encourage people to stay as up to date as possible. Because if we do that, it means support tickets are getting out the door quicker. It means you're benefiting from all the amount of functionality that there is within the application. It means that, as I mentioned previously, your principal consultant, it means that the customer success manager can go and bring in your principal consultant and say, can you demo the new features for particular client in a particular way? If you stay up to date, then you reap all of the benefits of everything that we can do for you from a service point of view and everything that the product can do for you. Platform monitoring. Obviously, we have nearly everybody is one of our SaaS customers. So we have a huge amount of monitoring that we have internally. We have a dedicated DevOps team that their job is to actually look at those monitoring and make sure if things are starting to slow down, or heaven forbid we're actually starting to get a major incident, that we are the first people to see that before you see it. Now, I know that there is going to be that exceptional time when you guys may see it first. However, whenever that situation happens, we always make sure that whatever it was that caused that then gets written into our monitoring, so the next time we know that we're gonna get ahead of that. And for those of you that have been with us a while, you'll know that has been a huge journey for us over the last kind of 2 or 3 years, is improving that monitoring. And by and large, I think we are actually there now, as I say, with just the odd exception. Performance optimization. This is something that we can do for you, and you need to come to us and ask for it. So, as I said, we have a dedicated DevOps team who look at all of our monitoring and our hosting and ensure that that we are balancing everything out so that it's cost effective for you, but also is giving you all the performance that you want. If you feel that there's a certain area of application, let's say, for example, DocGen or something like that you feel could be a little bit quicker, then feel free to enlist your CSM, your customer success manager, and say that's an area you want to focus on. Similarly, I know that nearly everybody in this call will know Stuart, and he tries very, very hard to make sure all of our performance is as optimal as possible. Then we have the solution. So Kaizen, we are going to talk in a minute quite in depth about Kaizen. But Kaizen is definitely one of the newest things that we're putting out there. For those of you that know Six Sigma, you'll know that Kaizen is already an established type of event. And I say we're just going to cover that in depth in a minute. Expert services. So in the same way that I said about your principal consultant, we have a whole range of expert services that we have here. So, you know, everything from QA to configuration. I know quite a lot of you have, you know, a bi-weekly or a monthly config session with one of our configurators, just because you're doing your own configuration, and it's somebody to bounce ideas off and you know, really ask them questions and make sure that we're enabling you to do things yourselves. So your customer success manager, you know, should hopefully, in these regular meetings that you're having, if that is the sort of thing that you're trying to do, if you are trying to bring about change and you're trying to be as self-sufficient as possible, then just go to your customer success manager and they can start setting up these sessions for you. So we'll pop that through resourcing and get somebody allocated to you. And as with the principal consultant, we do try as much as possible to bring those configurators that have been with you forever, to bring those back for you as well. Then we have ad hoc configuration support. So this is less about, you know, a regular meeting, a regular workshop, and more about you just being able to ask the questions. So, you know, ask the questions through the support desk. And, you know, we have configurators within the support team who will happily jump on a call with you and guide you through it. You know, or if you're really becoming stuck, can kind of do it whilst also teaching you how to do it as well. Because as we're about to talk in a minute, training for us is right up there in the most important things and one of the areas that we put the most focus on. And it's a very interesting segue, and we go to learning. So we have our knowledge base, and again, for those of you that have been with us a while, you'll know that the knowledge base has come so far, and you know that is a shout out to Andre, who's on the call with us, and really driving that knowledge base forward. So, you know, there we're looking at, we've got, you know, over 500 documents in there. We've got over 100 videos and recordings, and you know, Andre really tries hard to, whenever we roll out a training session, it gets recorded. Andre spends an awful lot of time kind of chopping that up into chapters for you so that you can just go back and watch one of those videos. Andre, feel free to put your camera on and give us a wave. And then we have training. So training, if you go, I always like to plug this at the end of one of these sessions, but that's because I like as many people as possible to go to the various training sessions that we run. So we do at least one a month online, where everybody's entitled to join. It's the link, very much like the forum. You just jump onto that training. It can last anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. And we'll train you on a specific thing. So very much like the demo that Ben gave us on finance, we might focus a session on finance. On top of that, we are rolling out 3-day configuration courses. Now I think we've done about 5 now. They're in person and they're on site. We book a lovely hotel, so whether it's Shrigley Hall up here, and I think Ben was looking for Simon earlier, but Simon's actually running one of these training sessions at the moment down south in Stoke Poges. They are free. I cannot tell you how beneficial they are. If there is anybody on the call that's already sat on one of these courses, definitely please try to plug it, because they are incredible. It gives people the ability to step away from their desk and actually go and focus and really learn configuration. And it is a basic configuration course, so you need nothing more than understanding the key concepts of ShareDo. And then kind of know-how questions. So questions, again, just popping questions through the support desk. We never ever ignore questions that come through the support desk, because it is as important to us as it is to you that we teach you how to do things. Okay, so they're all the services. As I said, if ever you want any and you don't feel that you're getting them, definitely reach out to your customer success manager. Okay, I'm going to spend 2 minutes just now on Kaizen. So Kaizen is a Japanese word, and broken up into 2, it means change and good. And I just put in the for there, so it makes sense. But it's the concept of continuous and rapid improvement. So essentially what we do, it depends on the body of work we're looking to do for you. But essentially what we do is we plan with you. So we establish a few key areas that we could turn around rapidly, and they are configuration based mostly, and we look at what can we do? And the idea is that we're going to go in, we're going to define it in the morning, we're going to build it at some point for a couple of hours, and then we're going to play it back and we're going to test it in the afternoon. And the idea is, if it was a 1-day Kaizen, we'll do it in that kind of rapid build and rapid everything. So how it works. So before, as I've just said, we're going to establish some key areas. You show an interest that you actually like to take on one of these Kaizens. We're going to establish a few areas that could be included. Then we're going to start to identify key players. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's just the project team, at which point you might be in BAU. So we're going to bring in maybe some product owners or some people within the organisation that really are experts in that area. Then we're going to do a bit of preparation. So it might be that you need to do a bit of requirements gathering ahead of time. It might be that you need to send it over to us. Our side, we're going to do a bit of planning in terms of how the 1 day, 2 day, 1 week is going to run. So we'll do a bit of planning around that. And then it's really about communicating. So getting that message out to the business. One of the key benefits of a Kaizen event is how exciting it is. It sounds so sad saying that. I hear myself, but how exciting it is, and really it encourages a lot of usage within the application. If people can see that you really are listening to them and you're making those quick changes that make all the difference to them. Then during the actual events, as I just mentioned, we do rapid. So we're going to do a bit of discovery. So we'll bring in lots of different people within the organisation that you think are those kind of key players. We'll do some discovery. We'll ask them questions. We'll define that in terms of, maybe just a small version of a specification. Then we're going to build it. So, really we let you guys as much as possible build that. We do come armed with people. So we come armed with a solution architect. We come armed with a configurator. I think the one that we're planning to go to in a couple of weeks, we're going to take a reporting expert with us. So, we really do, as part of that preparation, we also look at who needs to be involved. So then we're going to build it, we do some tests, and then at the end of the day, we want to show that. So, we're going to show that to, I don't know if Jenny's on, but she does like to call them the big cheese. So that's either, people, bigger stakeholders, or it can actually be the users themselves. So we just want to do a show and tell at the end of the day as to what we've actually built. And then we're kind of going to go and package that up. And after the event, we tend to kind of just, look at how to deploy that, just so that we make sure everything's very thoroughly tested and we're not just kind of throwing something into the application. So I put a few little photos in there. I know that we have got some people on the phone on the call from Horwich Farrelly. So this is one that we did last week. And it was hugely successful. We had I think 8 or 9 people from the business. We broke off into little sessions. I think we covered off we had 12 Kaizen features that we actually got through, and we did it in a day. And hopefully, the guys agree that it was a really, really successful event. And now we've got a meeting tomorrow to look at how we can deploy that out. Just a little thing in case anybody's wondering why I've just got some random cacti on the slide. We do come with gifts. And so for Horwich Farrelly, we did give them all cactus and succulents. And the last thing I'm going to say about the Kaizen events is that the words I've got there at the bottom, which is engaging, rapid, loud. Now, it's not loud from a noise perspective, but I don't know if you can see on one of those photos there, we do get Post-it notes all up over the walls. I think another event that we did a few months back, we printed it all off in terms of screenshots and we put them around the office so that people could really see what we were working on. And that's helping to engage not just people in the room, but actually all of the users, if they can see that there is something going on from a ShareDo perspective. And I think Horwich Farrelly can agree, not only was that successful, but we're already planning the next one. And we're doing them internally as well. So we have one next week where I just want to plug this because I think you'll all be very happy. We're doing an internal one where we've got 8 of our own people all getting together next Tuesday, and we're going to do a Kaizen on support tickets. So we're really looking at age tickets and just blasting through them and really trying to get them closed off. And so the benefits. So as I've just said, rapid issue identifying and resolving. collaboration, and continuous learning and innovation. And I think it's that last one that's really important for everybody. Because, you know, by doing that, it means, as I say, with upgrades, making sure you are up to date. By doing continuous learning and innovation, it means that we're going to get the most out of the application for you. Okay, I overran. I know that I overran. So we're going to do another coffee break now and another poll. Let me stop sharing my screen. So the next poll is around the forums just more generally. So I'm going to publish those. I think some people did have problems with the last poll, and I will investigate after this, but I don't want to mess with these two polls for now. So this is just, what would you like to hear more of in our forums, and just one about the frequency. So I'm going to launch those. And Ben, how long do you think we'll take for this break? 5 minutes?
4 minutes. What is it? 10:36. We'll start again at 22.
Fabulous.
Cool. Cup of tea time.
Yeah, I think we're just coming to the end of our time now. We've got a few responses.
Cool. I mean, I guess it's. I had a little look. It's reassuring. It's the right frequency. I'm always conscious that there's a huge amount of content, so we have to sort of pick and choose, right? But nevertheless, because it's a big platform, so it's. I guess input into that is really appreciated. I guess the other thing I wanted to pick up on very quickly, and thanks, Teresa, I thought it was really good, and thanks, Jacqueline, is, I mean, we're all service providers. You guys are legal service providers, and we're, I guess, solution service providers, right? The service bit of our business is incredibly complex. There are lots of moving parts, and I think we do a pretty good job, but nevertheless, as with any service provision, and the more complex the service provision, the more opportunity for things to not go quite well. But I guess that escalation for our organisation happens really, really quickly. So, I mean, Teresa mentioned your account team, but feel free to contact people about anything. We really appreciate feedback, both positive and negative, right? So yeah, always feel free to reach out, and if there are issues, I mean, they certainly get to my desk really, really quickly, right? So yeah, cool. Final bit, and obviously Tony's not done any presenting, so we're going to be on time, I suspect, but I'll try and disappoint us slightly. Talk about data and AI. And then we'll wrap up. All good. Right, will I share the right screen? Yes, I will. Happy days. Cool. I'll whiz through this as a bit of demo. In this roadmap area, I guess there's 4 sort of bits. There's actually a 5th bit, which is data migration. We're doing some work on that at the moment, but I'll maybe talk about that in another forum. So best in class data modeling. I mean, really for us, the big thrust is Form Builder 2. We have hit some complexities. I was really hoping it would be out or certainly nearing completion about now, and I think we demoed this twice, right? Rather than unleashing Tony till probably midday, and we're not going to give you an update demo. We are pushing the timescales of this back slightly. I'm still hoping this side of Christmas. I really hope this side of Christmas, right? So that's, I guess, the negative news. Data stewardship, we're working on a couple of different pieces of functionality. Again, I'm not going to cover those in detail. Enhancements of data quality rules and better deduplication, that stuff is going to come out reasonably soon. But what I'm going to focus on today is the stuff on the right. So I'm just going to look at reporting to start with, because there are some changes here and I wanted people to be aware of that. And really, this slide, very busy, apologies. It describes, I guess, some of the sort of architectural, a lot of this is fairly deep tech. So I'll try and elevate it as I go through this slide. But this describes, I guess, the foundations we're putting in place to do better AI and reporting in the future, and some of the things that are coming out just about now. This is reasonably technical, what's going on underneath the hood, and there are some implications of that stuff for you. And I think it's amazing, actually. I mean, I don't know how many man days we put into this area, but it is a lot. And the demo I'm about to do, almost, however many 100 man days, it's a demo that takes about 5 minutes, which is the resultant of that. And that's really about the change to very near real-time reporting. Now, I think almost everyone uses Power BI, right? And it's a bit frustrating from a user's perspective. They just don't quite get it, right? Why the reports are out by half an hour or an hour or 2 hours. And actually, I think from a UX perspective, it means that you can't use them in perhaps the reports in perhaps the way you want to. So we completely refreshed this architecture. I'm not 100% certain whether you need to be a cloud customer to take advantage of this. I'm bottoming out some of that stuff at the moment, but I'm pretty certain that's going to be the case. So yeah, all of your ShareDo, they're called data lakes now, a bit old school, warehouses are near real time. We're going to do a little test. Sometimes it takes a couple of seconds, sometimes it takes a couple of minutes, but we're talking that sort of range. And we have seen on peak load in some really busy environments taking maybe 3 or 4 minutes in terms of data latency, but typically it's a few seconds, right? The next bit of that journey, so that's number 1, top right. I'm hoping that's going to come out in 7.8 shortly. It may get delayed because we're using some pre-release Microsoft-y platformy stuff, so it may get delayed because of that. The next thing we're doing is releasing a new reporting schema. The one we've had has been with us for a long time and is in need of a refresh. And so we're doing a new reporting schema, which is going to support a lot more of the measures that we're adding in terms of Finance V3, so a lot more financial reporting. The next logical step on that is the ability and again, I'm so old school, apologies for this. I don't know what the equivalent of data mark is in the data lake. Sean might have to keep me honest on this. But in old school data warehousing, you had big data warehouses and created data marts for specific reporting needs. So we're going to give you basically we need to find a better word, but ability to design your own reporting schemas. Now, why is that important? That means that you can design a schema that's just focused on one area. So let's say you want to do some reporting just on litigation or proceedings or whatever. You can design a schema just for that purpose, which means your consumers of that, the Power BI authors, are working in a language that they understand. So less about work types or ShareDos, more about proceedings and litigation. That makes conceptually sense, right? And I come in, do the bit on the left around the AI in a second. So I wanted to, actually, maybe I'll do a quick demo. Let's do a quick demo. What window? Yes, group. Okay. This has every opportunity to go wrong. I've got a basic task report, and I think it's always, for me, it's always amazing. Like, people put in a huge amount of effort, and then it's like we'll demo it in 2 minutes, right? Power BI, as a normal report, is a task report running in embedded mode, right? Previously, and you can click on the link and open up the task and all the sort of stuff you can do today, right? Previously, that would be less than optimal it's good for analysis, slicey dicey type stuff, but less than good perhaps as an operational tool, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a task, and I call it Ben's task 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to assign it to a random matter, that one. I'm going to give it to a random person, James Bond. Right, we're at 57. this could be a really painful moment at the moment. We're at 57 tasks, and I'm going to save and close that and press start. This is where we need someone to offer to do some karaoke, I think. 8 seconds.
I think that was Phil. Hang on, Phil's got his hand up there. Yeah,
Phil's good.
As you all know, I've got a voice of an angel. So
you have got a voice of an angel. So I did this earlier, right? And it took 4 seconds. And now it's going to be, just because it's going to be painfully in the world of demoware, isn't it?
I'm just hearing your words ringing in my ears, like just in time.
Hey, there we are. There we go. Right, 30 seconds, right? Which is not
the tree, by the way. Yeah. So you're welcome.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you, Phil. For me, this opens up a whole host of different use cases in terms of Power BI reporting. So I can't remember who I assigned it to, but it's doing the whole aggregate analysis. Yeah. So this means you can have real-time damages, aggregated damages reporting at statement of work level, contract level. It's all real-time, all the aggregate stuff here. So that's step one. Huge amount of work to go through a very, very simplistic demo. I'm really annoyed it didn't do it sub 10 seconds. But anyway, hopefully that is some good stuff. We're quite excited about it. But I just want to talk through the implications of that stuff for you, right? Which I reckon is that stuff, yeah. Cool. Okay, so there are some changes, and I just wanted to run through what the implications of those mean. We're claiming data latency of 100 seconds on average. Well, I think it's going to be less than that. But anyway, data latency goes down massively. The refresh button on your reports goes. There's no need for that anymore. Available in version 7.8, hopefully, depending on Microsoft getting some stuff out of pre-release. To take advantage, I'm doing the left-hand column. To take advantage of this stuff, we've provided some new sample reports. For your custom reports, you need to change the way you're connecting to either our warehouse or your custom warehouses. Yeah. And the bit we can't, because we're using a lot of pre-release stuff here to achieve that latency, there may be some increase to your licensing you pay to Microsoft. We believe the lowest cost increase of that is £300 per month. So broadly, £300 per month, and it may well be more than that. So I don't want to promise that stuff. You move to near real time. Yeah, there is no change to the schema. So any reports you've done, it's all the same, all that sort of good. Yeah. Step 2 is a new schema, and will include access to all data items, all the new Form Builder 2 stuff, all the new Finance V3 stuff that we spoke about, a new set of core reports with better coverage, better support for time travel. What did it look like on Monday? What did it look like 4 months ago? Compare year on year, all of that sort of stuff. So super powerful reporting. We will, and the schema we got is version 5 actually. So we will backwards support the version 5 schema for at least 8 months. And for those that know, when we talk about backward support, we're quite friendly with that stuff. But nevertheless, we won't be enhancing it anymore. And over time, you will need to migrate your reports to the new schema. As we start to develop this over the next few months, we'll look at how much we can help you with that stuff. Yeah. And then step 3, which is your own schema designer. I think we'll start building on that. I'm hoping in a month or so. That's going to make it super easy to create these little marts. Sean, you're going to have to give me the modern word. Lakes, lake houses. I don't know.
Lake house, yeah.
Yeah, lake houses. I knew it was a freaking lake house. Yeah, we all get to have lake houses. I tell you what, as an aside, I've been telling this joke because I'm an old man, right? In the new reporting world, they've changed all the words, right? And what I'm particularly happy about is that we've now got parquet data, which sounds so amazingly posh. And as a Cheshire-based company, it's right up our street, right? Anyway, that's my old man joke. Yeah, so step 3, you can design your own schemas, make it super easy to consume. But actually what we're going to do is pull in, and this is really deep engineering actually, any of your data composer expressions that you've put, and there's some quite complex calculations people with, that will flow through to the warehouse as well. So you can write a definition once and it'll be in your warehouse as well. So super sophisticated reporting in that side of things.
Ben, there's just a couple of questions if you want to.
Yeah, I completely ignored them. Thanks, Sean. Right. What do you have? You're going to have to answer these for me because I just talk rubbish.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
I'll do the question. You do the answer, Sean. What do you have in place to refresh data in dev test environments?
Yeah, so we'll have a workspace for each environment. So essentially, what we can test that in your vNext environments and your pre-prod environments, and then production as well. So you will get a siloed workspace for each of those environments that you'll be able to hook up to and test that properly end to end.
Cool. Then there was a question: did I hear this is only applicable to cloud Azure customers? This is taking advantage of all of Microsoft's Fabric infrastructure underneath the hood. As cloud customers, you don't need to worry about that. Yeah, so all of the real-time reporting is using Microsoft underneath the hood is using Microsoft Fabric, lakehousey stuff, right?
I think the challenge we've got around that is that we use what's called Fabric mirroring, which seamlessly sort of real-time moves the data from a SQL Server instance into Fabric's cloud. That at the moment doesn't support on-premise, so that's the main technical challenge there, is moving the data between on-premise and the cloud.
Yeah, so real-time latency, near real-time reporting is using, I guess, essentially their mirroring capability underneath the hood. Cool. Okay. Any more thoughts on that stuff, or I'll move into some of the machine learning type stuff? Well, good. I'm going to overrun, Teresa. I said I wasn't going to overrun. Right, we did my demo, did so many questions, ML and generative. I'm not going to go through these. I'll just skip to a sort of semi-demo on this stuff, I suppose. So we're reasonably advanced on this stuff, I think. The main engineering effort is the stuff that I just showed in terms of the sort of new data architecture. In terms of the machine learning, we are going to roll out a number of different models, which will, in the fullness of time, you'll be able to configure those through the application. And for me, the challenge is not just the machine learning stuff, which is relatively easy. Given the right quality of data, and I think we're quite good at quality data, but it's around how you consume that. So what I was going to do, hopefully if it works, is show you an illustration of that, because that's take from our UX team is there's essentially quite a lot of input. Is it playing? Always going to play, right? So behind the scenes, ShareDo's taking all your fees. This is a fees example, which is the first one I'm going to do. ShareDo's taking all of your fee estimates, your fee actuals, your internal costs, if you decide to opt in to do that, right? It's put that in all the reporting stuff we spoke, and then it's analyzing it for correlation. I think the challenge then, and if we're broadly calling these assistants, is how do I better inform pricing? Now that is not just a machine learning challenge, although it is one element of that. It's also a UX challenge about how do I show you past performance. I'm just going to play this video and talk you through it, the same thing. So as a really annoying vote. So it's introducing a fee assistant. It will be available from the fees page, and it broadly shows you, from using search technology, similar matters, right? And you can filter those and refine those bit by bit. It takes that, and you can explore it, right? In the same way you explore stuff using the sort of blades, you can go and have a look at other things. So it's basically saying, I'm an expert, help inform my judgment. It's then providing a bit of insight in terms of the correlation between. Oh, this is really fast. Hold on, I might have to pause it. Pause. Go back. Let's go back to there. Let's go back a bit further. Bloody fast video. They're supposed to be explainer videos. They're supposed to be really right. Cool. Okay, there we go. So then, in terms of that data set, so basically the machine has gone. I think I've seen you pricing similar things before. Not you, but your team. I'm going to show you the success of those pricing in terms of correlation between estimates and actuals. So that's really basic correlation analysis. Let's go on a little bit. I'm going to give you some statistical guards and really quite simpler ones here in terms of sort of, upper quartile, lower quartile, medium type stuff. What does that mean? It means from that data set you put in there, it's basically going to warn you, and you could put workflows around that because this stuff will be available in Data Composer as well. It's going to warn you to say, hold on, I just quoted £1,000 for this piece of work, but I'm below this lower quartile. So maybe that's warn you, might trigger an approval, etc. The final, actually, 2 more bits. It will give you a similar correlation analysis in terms of either the bias of estimators or ultimately who performs that work. And there's a really strong correlation in that stuff. So understanding that piece. And the final bit, so I think machine learning plays a part in all of this, but it's not the solution, is basically doing the complex multi-dimensional correlation and giving you, the machine thinks it's roughly 2,862 quid, right, or dollars. All of that data will be available in Data Composer. So I think from a UX perspective, it's about guiding and informing and helping people make better decisions. From a data platform perspective, it's maybe about going, hold on, they estimated X, Y percentage outside what the machine recommends. I might want to send it for approval, which is almost like the fee approval stuff we got to get at them to get fee approval stuff we got at the moment on Red Bull. Cool. Okay. That's going to be the first model we roll out. Well, I'd like to think it'll be maybe 7.9. I'd like to, yeah, it's going to be 7.9. In the generative space, I know everyone's really keen on generative. The first use case we're looking at is around extraction of content from things like emails, either to recommend tasks or to pre-fill forms. That's behind Form Builder 2 at the moment. So as soon as we get close to shipping Form Builder 2, we'll move on to that sort of stuff. I'm out of time. Hopefully, I don't think there's any questions on any of that. Apologies for running out of time. If I was to summarize it, real-time reporting very soon, and that is going to enable a lot of UX/ML models that are going to appear throughout the application over release 7.9, 7.10, etc. All good? In that case, I will wrap up this. How many minutes we're late? Only 2 minutes late. It's a brilliant achievement. Thanks once again to Jacqueline for sharing her. I'll share my screen for sharing her experiences. That's probably more insightful to you guys than all of the random stuff we've been talking about. Thanks to Teresa and the events training team. Again, if you want to jump onto any of those, they're always free, always will be free for our clients. Kaizen, I think, is another service that's part of your subscription. Getting really good feedback. You're welcome to book it. We're not metering or restricting that stuff at all. And finally, a shout back right to the start that I don't want us to be a faceless product organization. So feel free to contact those product managers or do it via your CSMs who'll be able to get you as part of the product consultation process. Anything I missed, Teresa? Otherwise, I say thank you very much, everyone.
Nope.
See you for another one, maybe before Christmas, maybe after Christmas. I don't know, something like that sort of time.
Just before Christmas. See you all in December.
Yeah, thanks again, everyone. Cheers. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.